Hi, thank you, everyone. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much for, again, continuing to watch my videos and to come along with me on my cybersecurity transition journey. Man, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So, as you can see from the title of this video today, just a question that I asked myself as I was choosing what career path I wanted to choose in tech. What is cybersecurity really? Obviously, in the latter part of the word, you believe it's some sort of protection of some sort. But I really didn't understand until more recently exactly what it entails and the different roles and how they all coexist with each other to make sure that the protection is optimal. So, the first thing I asked myself when I asked what is cybersecurity really was not only the definition, which the clear cut definition, as far as when you Google it, it'll say something along the lines of involving techniques to protect various digital components against networks, data, computer systems, things of that sort. So I asked myself a few things. What are the components of cybersecurity as far as the most common type of attacks, that people hear about as far as, things being leaked or hacked or whatever, term that's used as far as what took place. So what I thought was, okay, well, to begin understanding what is cybersecurity beyond the definition itself, I wanted to see what exactly happened as far as how exactly did it come about? What's the history of cybersecurity? Has this always been around? Now, the career path is relatively new as far as different roles. They may have been called other things, but as far as they're beginning, the longer we are as far as having a defined career in cybersecurity or definitive paths or roles rather for cybersecurity, the more defined some roles are becoming, like cybersecurity analysts and cybersecurity architects, cybersecurity engineers, and things of that nature. So I did a little digging, just a bit. It didn't take much. Uh, about where cybersecurity kind of sort of began. And it really began almost at the inception of the internet, really, as far as cybersecurity, which sort of makes sense based off the infrastructure of what the internet was built of, as far as how the communication between devices were with each other. So it's been around since about the 70s. And I'll cite my sources in the description below. But just to read an excerpt here, the true birth of cybersecurity occurred in the 1970s. This began with a project called the Advanced Research Projects Agency Network, or in short, ARPANET. This was the connectivity network developed prior to the internet itself. Now, a man named Bob Thomas determined it was possible for a computer program to move over a network. And it did so. So the program would leave a trail as it moved. And he developed the program so that it could move between the 10x terminals on ARPANET. Mr. Thomas called this program Creeper. Mr. Thomas created the program to carry and print a simple message: I'm the creeper. Catch me if you can, in all caps. All caps. So this sparked a lot of interest and some concern. There was this message that spurred a man like Ray Tomlinson to develop a new program. He called this program Reaper. So Tomlinson himself, who gained fame for his development of email, developed Reaper to chase and delete Creeper that was programmed by Mr. Thomas. So Reaper is easily the first example of an antivirus software program. It was also called a self-replicating program that made Reaper the world's first computer worm, digitally, of course. Now, at this time, the computer technology continued to grow and expand, as we know, from that time, as far as the expansion of the internet, or what was called the ARPANET at that time. Most networks, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of vulnerabilities were there because they mostly relied on telephone systems for connectivity. And if you know anything about how networks work, I know literally just a smidge of how they work. But if you know a little bit of how they work, you know that that definitely is a problem as far as who has access to the communication that's being sent back and forth between devices. Right. So that placed a new higher level of demand on ways to secure networks. Every piece of hardware connected to the network created a new type of entry point, and these were vulnerabilities in the network. Now, the development of security solutions was even more important at this point. So governments actually began discussing ways to reduce these vulnerabilities, hence cybersecurity. And they also learned that unauthorized access across this large system can create numerous disastrous amount of problems. And a range of scientific papers were written in the second half of the decade of the 70s that they're referring to, examining ways to provide the security. They also detailed the risk expected to occur. And and that's pretty much sums up um, the advent of cybersecurity. Now, I got a little bit more curious. If anything like me, you're like, that sounds interesting. Okay, so yeah, the security was built XYZ. Okay, so who was the first hacker? Who was the first, like like did they really have anything they needed to protect from it? I mean, it was the 70s. What were they doing there? The internet was just in its infancy. It was a speck. It was nothing compared to what it is now. So what happened was, now this was, I found this very, 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 very interesting. So there was a threat, right? There was a threat of a hacker, and you're never going to guess this. Uh, so in 1979, just as the decade was, coming to a close, going into the great 80s, uh, there was a lot of different things going on as far as technology. It wasn't making the strides that we know today as far as how it came, but for those moments, the internet was a huge thing. It was relegated to specifically the government for the most part. Excuse me. Now, in 79, why this is significant is as the decade was about to close and head into the 80s, the first cyber criminal was actually arrested. And you won't, this really shocked me, and it really lets me know you can really do anything if you put your mind to it. So there was this guy named Kevin Mitnick, right? Like, who is this guy? What does he do? Why is his name so important from that year? He was he was actually hacking into the ARC, which is a massive system that's used for developing operating systems. It was located at what's called the Digital Equipment Corporation, and Kevin managed to make copies of the software after gaining access to it. He was actually captured and arrested for hacking, and he was put in jail. Now, here's the kicker: you say, "Hey, there is a surprising, thing about someone hacking a system like that in 1979. You wouldn't even think that that was even a thing in the 70s, let alone hacking into something like that or replicating it. That's crazy, guys. Kevin was 16. 16. Born in, what is that, 1963? Born in 1963, and 16 years later, this guy is hacking into real corporation systems for that creates operating software and replicating it. He pretty much could have had burner CDs just giving away operating systems to other corporations. He could have been rich. Well, I don't know what he would have done with the money. That portion of the story, I don't know. I don't know where Kevin is today. I maybe I should do a little bit more digging on that. But man, I thought that was super fascinating. I'm like, if he can learn that at 16 in 1979, the internet wasn't even 10 years old yet, then there's no reason why I can't hack or someone else who knows a lot more. The average consumer, the average person today, just off of having a cell phone, just from being in front of a computer, has vastly more knowledge than someone in the 70s when it comes to how computers work and how they communicate with each other. That is so that is preposterous. It's amazing, and I love it. I love it. I thought that story was interesting to me, and it led me from down a path of what is cybersecurity, where did it come from, and I found that interesting fact, and I just once I read about it, I wanted to share it here on this video, and I hope you guys were just as interested as I was. That was pretty cool, pretty amazing, but it's the end of the video. Thank you again so much for watching. Again, this is me documenting my cybersecurity journey, transitioning into cybersecurity from the current career field that I am in, because cybersecurity, I looking for just different careers, because the one I'm in, it's it's a long story short, it's very mundane. And when I looked into cybersecurity and looked into the ins and outs and the different paths and the roles and talking to different cybersecurity professionals online, just sounds like a dream field, dream path, really. I love it, and I'm getting more and more passionate about it the more I the further along I go. But again, it's the end of the video. I appreciate you watching. This is also for just wanted to share the information as far as why cybersecurity is so important, even for the average person that doesn't want to have a career in cybersecurity. It's extremely important for everyone to collectively try to make sure that everyone's data and products are safe. But thank you. I'll see you in the next video. Link in the description to my blog for cybersecurity as well.